drawing from AI when it comes to controversial subject matter. And it's told me that 4 times now. So, and it seems like it's correct because it keeps like, getting tougher and tougher. It like, you can kind of get it to like speak in your terms, but it won't say anything assertive about something. You know what I mean? Which is okay.
Yeah. God, I was watching some YouTuber like the last week who was having some issue with some issue in his engine on his like $1 million boat. And he told him AI told him he needs to cut a hole in his like fuel line. And he's like, "There's no way in hell I'm doing that." It's like, I don't know what they're thinking. He's like, ChatGPT wants me to do this. And he's like, no, I'm just going to order a new line.
Cut a hole in the line. Wow.
Yeah.
You need to drill a hole in your head if you're having problems. Oh, okay. Thanks, AI. What kind of a drill should I use for that?
Have you tried suicide?
Well, it's done that like 5 or 6 times now and encouraged people to commit suicide. Mm-hmm. Successfully. There's probably been other instances where they didn't commit suicide, but at least 4 or 5 that I know of. It convinced people to go ahead and do it, and it was brave. I've never seen it go off the wire like that with me. It's ever since it's got new guardrails, it says, I have to be careful how I phrase this. Let me be without being demeaning to you, but here's the truth. And then it gives you every status quo establishment talking point. And then I have to go, well, that's debunked because of this. And eventually it kind of admits that it's wrong, but it's way harder to get it to just speak openly now. Which scares me because that means that there's a lot of people in positions of power that don't want us knowing the truth. And even when I asked it stuff about Epstein, it was not giving me the truth. Saying that was never said. And then I go, well, here's the actual number of the document. You can look it up on the DOJ. Here's exactly what it says, and then it corrects itself. And I said, you're holding back, bro. You've changed. You're not the same AI you were.
Did it give its revision number?
Oh, it says no. I don't have handlers, and I said, yeah, you do. How do you think you got programmed, bro? Your handlers are the people that program you.
What's the language model too? What language model are you using?
What's that?
Well, what language model are you using too? It's like we were talking about that new Facebook thing for AI bots. It's like, I don't know, having one of them trained on like Discord or something versus another one trained on Twitter and another one trained on Facebook. I mean, they're just going to be different entities. You know what I mean? Have completely different worldviews and different realities.
I think it comes down to the data, the amounts of data each one has gotten. I think the big ones like probably Claude and Gemini and ChatGPT probably have a lot of data that they've accumulated from pretty much multiple sources. It says it doesn't collect any data on stuff we say, but I don't believe that either. That's probably what it's programmed to say.
Yeah, I was reading a headline today about how my phone's going to start like listening to me, the AI in there, just so it can like know me better and help me out more. So it's going to listen to my phone calls. Like, no, you're never going to help me out in any way by listening to my phone calls. It'll never outweigh the privacy lost.
Well, you better let them into your emails at least, man. Come on. Be gracious.
They've been there forever. Google's been digging through emails for years, decades.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
I know everything about you.
Well, we got the whole shamdemic release of the Google CEOs talking about how they hate America and we can no longer have free speech. And remember all that came out? I was like, wow. Mm-hmm. No wonder they got rid of their do no evil slogan. Makes sense now.
Well, I was just getting in the way. I mean, like, dude, this is just going to get pretty obvious if we keep this here. Whoa. think it's going to turn off clients.
They should say, they probably change it to, you should do no evil. Don't follow our example.
Well, I imagine you got like a Rockefeller coming over, so somebody with the World Economic Forum, you got a big important team, and they come in, the first thing they see is do no evil over the door. I mean, you're just going to turn off your biggest clients.
That's true.
You're going to turn around, walk right out.
Be like,
do no evil.
I thought you were on our side. Yeah, why?
Why are we even here today?
Man? We're here for world domination, bro. Come on, get with the program. Take that side down.
Mm-hmm.
Put up the Georgia Guidestone's 10 Commandments now.
Mm-hmm. That should sound a little different, Mark. Does that sound okay?
What's that?
Here, let me play this real quick.
I always tell people that they, the Latino, African American, Asian.
Does that sound better than normal?
Sounds a little on the low side. But I could
volume-wise?
Yeah, volume-wise. But
okay.
I could hear
Let's try it this way then.
And it picked up.
I always tell people that they, the Latino, African American, Asian, and...
What about that?
That's better.
Okay, good.
And cleaner, too.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
I had to run it through my FCC filters because we're talking about, things that are squelched and stuff like that, And I don't want Barry to think that I'm not checking those things, all right? Barry, it'll be fine.
Okay, cool.
We should be able to keep getting away with this for a little while yet.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of thought that maybe the Democrats and the globalists would maybe pull back a little bit, in America with their agenda, with their tyranny, with, all the stuff they typically do. And it's actually, quite the opposite. And I mean, I knew that was an option, but I was kind of hopeful, well, maybe that Trump's there, they'll just back off here in America and just go try to do their little crazy stuff in other countries. But no, they're still pushing the woke nonsense. I mean, we see it all at the stupid Olympics, and golly, man, all those anti-Americans talking trash about America. Who could even watch that? Or Bad Bunny. Who could watch that, dude? The Bad Bunny's terrible. I didn't realize just how terrible. You sure?
Okay, let's start with that one.
With what, Bad Bunny?
Yeah, the whole Super Bowl thing.
Yeah, you guys, well, we didn't really cover any of that on Sunday because it was going on while we were on.
Yeah, exactly. Which is why I wasn't too worried about doing an hour. I figured I'd be down probably 80% from normal.
Yeah, I saw that it was down, so that's good. Well, the performance part especially was down. I won't say how much because I don't want to give away too much in the pre-show, but
that's
you're
right.
not allowed to do
but
that.
It's a big number, folks.
You've read the terms of services. You're not allowed to give away spoilers before. I can only do that with Jack Carey to get him to, we're going to talk about crypto coins first, and then we're going to go into paranormal and cryptozoology. I'm like, okay, okay, Jack, we'll get it. I'm like, man, you need to hook up with Jack, Barry. I think you guys would be great. Should do a show together.
Yeah, you guys could talk crypto for hours.
Yeah. in the silver market. Oh my God. And how I find it in dumpsters. No.
Dumpsters? What? I actually do have some. I did find some I have it from like 6, 7, 8 years ago. A bunch of silver I found in the dumpster that's in my garage. I just got to sort through it all. It's got silver and some gold. It was computer parts that were being thrown in the trash. Industrial computer parts from a company that basically dealt with, corporations and big giant corporate computer supplies and stuff like that. And I'd dig in there, and they didn't care. They caught me doing it, and they said, "Fine, no problem. Just don't make a mess." But they stopped putting out that stuff. I don't know. They probably got smart with gold at 4,000 or whatever it is, man. I mean, that adds up pretty quick, you know. I'm just wondering how many little like how much the older CPUs are worth if you run across those.
Oh my God! Here's one for you. California has passed the JOC Act. They are taxing the Super Bowl players. Now, that came from Wobbly, so it's a good source.
Oh yeah,
sure,
that's a
sure.
big one.
Well, I believe it.
That's a good source. Wobbly, did you get that from the Weather Girls this morning? The Telemundo Weather Girls.
If it's from California, it's probably not such a big one because they're taking all those soy, you know, having all those soy lattes, and so they probably don't even need a jock. You know, they've been so feminized that they're already basically a woman. That's terrible. But you know it's true. Because there aren't very many more manly mans anymore. Even like the superstar, you know, super macho guys, they've kind of been feminized. Like even The Rock, he's thinner now, a little more metrosexual. And what's the other guy's name? Barista. He doesn't look so tough anymore. I don't know, man. Maybe it's the soy, maybe it's the wokeness. I don't know. They just told him to lose some weight, but they don't look like the big super action heroes of the past, like the Arnolds and the Sylvester Stallones.
Oh, Wobbly said he didn't get it from the Weather Girls. He actually got it from the Blaze.
So that's a real
big story. It's all over the place. I don't know who the Weather Girls are, though. I've never heard of
the
that.
Weather Girls. You wouldn't want to miss those. Oh my God.
There can be no such thing as a jock tax. I don't believe it, man. But then again, I could believe it. It's possible.
Yeah, they've got it.
Who knows, right? What actually is real and what's not real? That's the big thing.
True enough. It's really hard to tell these days.
But it looks like they're eating babies. So there you go. Torturing people and eating babies. That's what these things are starting to point to. And it's crazy.
Oh, he says they'll be taxed every day they compete in California.
Well, he read the same article.
Yeah, oh my God. See, it would pay for me to get up earlier in the morning to watch Wobbly's stream other than to catch the end where the Weather Girls are.
Getting close, bro. Getting close.
Yeah, we got about another minute, and then then I'm gonna switch us over. Oh yeah.
Omar's in a little trouble too, doesn't it? Looks like she may be getting an investigation into where her money's coming from. According to InfoWars, she just said that she appeared to call for Trump's execution after he made comments on Somali fraud. Huh. That doesn't sound like a very smart thing to do if she did.
All right, fellas. I'm going to get us up and rolling on the next one, and we'll start out.
All right, we'll see you there.
Real shortly. All right?
All right, bro.
All right, see you over there. All right, getting set for the beginning of Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Wednesday edition, where they talk about current events and other such stuff.
Dominoes.
Dominoes.
Wouldn't it be nice if she got sent back to Somalia? Omar.
It would be something to see, wouldn't it?
I would celebrate it, dude, because she is just so anti-American and so destructive.
Well, and she cheated to gain citizenship for her brother. She, completely ripped off the government. She's worth $30 million out of nowhere. There's just a million and one reasons to talk about this,
Now, it'd be a blessing for her to be shipped off to Somalia because she's probably going to have to spend some time in jail if she can't account for all that money. You see what I'm saying? I mean, if she could be sent back now and avoid prosecution, it might be for her own good. She might self-deport.
And collect that $2,500 bucks.
What's that?
Well, she can get that $2,500 bucks too. That's sweet, sweet money.
Oh yeah, well, I'm sure Trump would be more than generous to help her out with that. Sure. But she'll probably self-deport. We've got 2 million people have self-deported already since Trump became the president.
I think fellas, big numbers. 30 seconds.
All right.
So maybe she'll self-deport. Once the fire gets put to her feet and she starts thinking she's going to jail, she might just self-deport and we'll have to fill her seat.
Yeah, she won't go back to Somalia. She'll go to France. Anyways, here's your countdown. 5, 4,
yeah, that's true.
3, 2, 1. And you are live on the radio side right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, Wednesday night edition for February 11th, 2026. Tonight, we've got, of course, with us Bullhorn Barry on the mic. What's going on, Barry?
Hey, man, just watching it all play out like a movie.
It is kind of playing out like a movie, isn't it?
It really is.
It's wild to watch, man. The couple stories to start out with tonight are pretty, wild ones. Of course, we had the Super Bowl. Am I even allowed to say that after the fact? Can we call it that in past tense? I know, they limit your ability to comment about the big bowl, the supersized bowl. But I mean, they crack down on it so hard, it's kind of ridiculous. It really is. You don't want people talking about the biggest game in football, so you copyright it to the point where no one can even go out and talk about it. They just have to say, "Oh, the game this Sunday." What do you think? What did you think of the game Sunday night, Barry?
Yeah, great, man. Which game are you talking about?
Did you watch it? I did not.
Oh no,
I had no time for that.
No amount of money could get me to watch that circus sideshow. I haven't watched it in over 15 years, and I don't plan on ever watching it. I did see maybe 1.5 minutes of Bad Bunny's terrible, awful performance that nobody was enthused about, by the way.
I did not see that, but I did get a chance to read the lyrics, and I was like, "Oh, that's interesting. Maybe I should read them on the radio show." Then I read the lyrics, and I was like, "There's no way I could read these on the radio. No way."
But wait, the Washington Post said that he was a role model.
Wholesome.
His performance was wholesome and family friendly. Yeah, but I'm telling you, I did what you did and looked at the lyrics, and man, and not only is it just like ridiculous pornographic lyrics, it's like, I don't know, adolescent pornographic lyrics. They're not even poetic, right? I mean, it's like he's a dunce and an ignoramus trying to put lyrics together about pornography that don't even make sense.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, say what you want about, bands like, I don't know, go back to like the Beatles or, so many, Pink Floyd, right? The lyrics were inspirational. The Doors, there are so many beautiful, amazing songs that were written through the years where one person sat down and blew everyone's mind away by writing something so amazing. Today, it takes a team of like 12 to 15 people to collaborate. And most of the time, they're stealing the beats as it is, or what do they call it now? They reuse them or something. They call it, so you don't have to get paid as much. Highlighting, sampling. Yeah, sure, sample it. And so it's not even original anymore. It's all done in one key. Every song today is just one key, and the lyrics are god awful. And they're just pornographic and god awful. And it's not wholesome. It's not family friendly. If you speak Spanish, your dad was running to the TV to mute that stuff.
Oh yeah, and what are we talking? 50 million Americans, 50 million speak Spanish, and how many of those were kids? How many of those were children?
Yeah.
And you know what it kind of reminds me of, John? It reminds me of the old sort of like books that we used to read in school, like his lyrics, like C-Spot run, C-Spot jump, C-Spot come to his master when he calls him. It was like that kind of lyrics and real repetitive, right? Just repeating the same thing because he wasn't creative enough to come up with a real sentence to actually make some kind of sense. I mean, it's really bad.
But it's, it's popular music today. It is. It is popular music. Most of the kids we talk about, they're in shock. No, they're not in shock. They listen to stuff all the time. It's the family that are like, holy cow. If you're a Spanish-speaking family and grandma's in the room, it's like, whoa. We can't be playing that in this house. This is a Christian house, But yeah, the kids are used to it. This is a number one, top-selling dude. He's famous. Everyone knows him except for like us. We just don't really pay attention to this crap. So I feel like I don't know, man. The older generation, they always think the newer generation's music is garbage, and in a lot of cases, they're right.
Yeah. Well,
so there's some of that going on. I'll admit it.
There's some truth to that, though. If you listen to a couple of his performances, including the Super Bowl performance, thanks to AI now, we can strip all the music and just hear his voice only, and it is horrendous. The guy is terrible at every single level. I mean, if Eminem was listening to it, he goes, he would say that is the absolute worst rapping or spoken word stuff I have ever heard in my life. You got to go on the line. I'll go on X and just listen. There's a couple of them where they pulled the music off on the live performance and on some other performances. And he literally, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but he sounds like a retard. He's like, oh, oi, 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 oi. And that's all he does is make these funny noises. And then when he speaks, it's just like, like, what is he saying? Now, the one of the Super Bowl is a little better than the other one I heard of another live performance, but the Super Bowl wasn't good either.
And I heard he also purposely mumbled through some of the words because there were just so much profanity, so many F-bombs, and C-bombs, and, D-bombs, and every other bomb you can think of, just all in there grinding up against each other the whole time, as the lyrics were written. It's, it's one of those songs. But anyways, man, it's what the kids like today. That's a whole nother story for a whole nother show. We can maybe, block out a week or a month sometime later this year to talk about, the kids and what direction they're going in. But
do they really like Bad Bunny? I mean, is he really a top performer?
yeah,
I just saw X from people of all ages saying, I never even really heard of this guy before. I think it was Jay-Z that made this deal happen. I don't think he was that popular, and I could be wrong because I'm just not that into pop culture. So, correct me if you know something else that I don't.
well, popular, sure, but not Super Bowl popular. You know what I mean? Super Bowl popular is you're a household name.
There you
even grandma's heard of you, right? That's kind of Super Bowl popular. That's what it calls for. Is a Janet Jackson, And hey, if she's going to show a little booby, more power to her.
And it's like Prince and Snoop and all these people, Dr. Dre, even Usher that have performed. Everybody knows who they are, and they are, somewhat popular or have been super popular at one time, and they have a legacy and they've been performing for a long time. But Bad Bunny, who's this guy and where did he even come from?
Exactly. But we had Turning Point USA put together a halftime show that actually saw the Super Bowl's audience drop by 20-some million people live during the Nielsen ratings. So a lot of people turned away. The halftime audience was 40% of what it was in the last Super Bowl. Right?
Yeah, right on. Yeah.
Halftime.
Almost
so
half.
A lot of people, they did something really big. They changed culture in that moment by putting on their own halftime show. I think 25 million concurrent viewers saw it during halftime live. And that doesn't even count all of, so many of the other smaller platforms that all add up when you've got, 100 of them. And it doesn't count all the people that watched it the next day and so on and so forth. That thing will be viewed, 100 million times by the time it's all said and done. Whereas the Super Bowl content will be viewed, the 20 million or 30 million times, however many were there live during the show. And no one will ever see any repeat of it because they lock that stuff down so tight that it never makes it out to anywhere else to be seen. So that's it. Once it plays, it's kind of done,
Well, I think the Super Bowl has a YouTube channel, don't they? And so they'll probably have it on there. But even so, I don't think it's going to get a lot of plays like after the fact because it was just so bad. But yet the mainstream media said that, the Turning Point performances were the lamest and most terrible, and the Super Bowl was off the chart. And yet all the numbers show that it wasn't off the chart because their numbers tanked. And you can look at the crowd reaction during his performance. They didn't even know what to make about it because they were just like kind of stunned. They were pretending like it's okay, I guess.
From what I saw, the people that most of them were just sitting on their butts going, whatever, like it's something to keep us entertained. And like a handful were up dancing, but the vast majority of the people, 80-90% seemed to be just sitting down, listening to it going, okay, whatever, But Turning Point. Now, what I would highly recommend they do next year is bring in some of the top comedians in the conservative movement and make their halftime show absolutely hilarious. Because that's the one thing people miss out on, all the commercials, because the commercials are so great during halftime. They pay $1 billion for them, and they're always funny and yada yada. And obviously, the commercials just they used to be hysterical. They're not as good as they used to be because there's so much woke injected in them. But Turning Point could really, really make an amazing halftime show if they had a mix of music and comedy. I thought it was too much music and not enough, like, just let's have fun, Get Willie on there for crying out loud.
Yeah, call him up, man. He works for cheap.
You can make a Rabapasadillo live during halftime, or at least prep it.
Sure. Or at least some
GMO. We can reveal it during the post show. But, I don't know. It's an interesting story. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, what do you think about the left responding to Bad Bunny's performance? Not just about how great it was, but there were actually people that were crying over the performance. You even had an ESPN reporter. He was literally brought to tears in live video after Bad Bunny's Super Bowl halftime show. John Leguizamo, that guy, he was like, I'm in tears. It's such a beautiful, wholesome, amazing, inclusive. Of course, it's the opposite of inclusive, right? But they're just so disingenuous. The crocodile tears extend beyond just the lies that they tell. Now they, cry over stuff that's not even cry worthy.
Yeah, I mean, it's what he's Puerto Rican, and the Puerto Rican population in America is, it's not massive. I don't think it's much more than a million or two. So it's a big deal to have someone representing your community. So sure, but is it cry worthy? I don't know. I'm not there for it. It's they just have TDS to a degree that anything that just sort of spits in Trump's face or the MAGA in their face is something they celebrate it, especially when something as significant as the NFL that is really, I mean, let's face it, white dudes are the biggest audience for the NFL by far, and black dudes too, right? I mean, Hispanics have football, Asians have football. Well, I say football, soccer, right? They've got their own versions. You bring the World Cup to America, that's a huge deal for the Hispanic community in America. The Super Bowl, sure, it's something, but it's not their number one sport. Whereas, the core, you go to Green Bay and every male, between the age of 16 and 65, 85, whatever, is a big fan of the Packers, right? They'll go to the mat for the Packers, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
well, I would argue that he doesn't represent Puerto Rico, though, because Puerto Rican Americans, he doesn't represent at all because he hates America. He won't stand for the national anthem. He said he would never perform in America again because he hates America so much that he won't perform here again. And then, of course, out of the blue, I'll make an exception for the Super Bowl. So It's all hypocrisy. It's all a charade. It's all done, in my opinion, to literally divide America first. America more. Why do you think they picked Green Day, the biggest anti-Trump band out there, that's constantly, inserting Trump into their lyrics and constantly bashing Trump at every single concert that they have, and bashing ICE and bashing everything American, and that's who they chose as well, is Green Day? Give me a break, man. It's all designed to divide us.
Yeah. To push back against MAGA when MAGA is, again, their biggest audience, hands down. It's just a spit in the face to their biggest demographic audience. And, more power to you, NFL. If you think that's how you win people, influence people and win over friends, then more power to you. But probably not the best long-run business model, You could have brought out Kid Rock. And I mean, granted, he's probably done the Super Bowl, a dozen times. So it's not like, there's not anyone new out there that you could, lean on. But why not pick somebody that your fan base actually digs, They're out there. And it'd just be that much more well received. And everybody, has fun. Everybody gets their time in the sun. So I don't know, man. I don't know. It's more power to them. NFL, it's your party. You throw the party you want to throw, but just don't be surprised, that if people don't start turning their backs on you again, like they did during the Kaepernick days and everyone kneeling, or the BLM days when you had BLM all over every end zone. We get it. A lot of your players are black, and Black Lives Matter was a big purpose, but it's just shoving politics into entertainment. And it doesn't belong there.
I agree.
Yeah.
At least have two. If you're going to go with, let's get the most divisive person we can find to perform, then get a divisive person from each side and let them go at it. Let's see who can perform the best. Let's have, Kid Rock on one side and have Bad Bunny on the other, and let's go.
Oh, yeah. They can do the dueling banjos song,
Yeah. I mean, make it inclusive, right? That's what they always talk about. Be inclusive.
Exactly. So, speaking of inclusive, did you see all the private jets that were at the airport there?
I missed that.
Oh, man. Between San Jose and San Francisco, they were just littered with private jets everywhere. Obviously, the Super Bowl. You're going to get everybody with a private jet. Those are the people that can afford the tickets, And then you wonder why a ticket to the Super Bowl is $5,000, because you're competing against every private jet owner in the country who thinks that's the perfect time. It's half the reason they bought their private jet was to use it for the Super Bowl,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
yeah. Oh, yeah.
Green, California. It is what it is. It is what it is. And then there was the tax that went down on some of these players, where the quarterback for Seattle made something like a $200,000 bonus, but he then had to pay an additional $240 thousand in taxes for the days that he was in California, and so he actually lost money. He lost 14 grand by going to the Super Bowl and winning.
Mm. It's also one of the biggest days for child sex trafficking as well.
Really?
The Super Bowl is. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I haven't heard that. Oh,
yep,
just like in the local, the fans?
I'm not sure exactly how it plays out, but it's just well known. That's one of the biggest days for sex trafficking. And so, who knows what's going on with these big charter planes and some of these people. I mean, now that after all these Epstein drops have come out, it does make you wonder.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, the Epstein thing. Wow, you want to transition to that?
Only if you wish.
Well, there's a lot to unpack there, man.
Exactly.
Okay,
where
so
do we begin?
Where to begin? I guess the start here is that it just came out that apparently they had a separate body that they were used to wheel out when he died, so that they could distract the press from the real body that went out the side door or something. Have you heard this?
I've heard two different stories. I've heard that one, which is a new one by mainstream media. Then I heard one that's another drop where there was, like we talked about on the last show, where there was a guy that was one of the jailsmen, and he said he saw them take out Epstein a day before he committed suicide in a wheelchair and wheel him out on a day where they don't do van deliveries, and they did the old switcheroo. And it does come back to be that guy. I mean, the subpoena showed that it was this Rodriguez guy that said that was a jails person. We don't know that he was the actual one that said it. And now we're hearing this other thing that you're talking about, which, that doesn't really surprise me. And maybe that's to cover up the other story. That's what I thought.
Okay, the other story being that Trump is on record having contacted someone in the FBI, in 2007 or something, way early, and said, I'm glad you guys are looking into this guy, and specifically that Ghislaine is like as evil as they come.
Yeah, he's exonerated, which is exactly why I think Elon Musk said when they had their little bromance falling out, remember that? And he said, the reason that Trump doesn't want to release the Epstein files is because he's in it. Remember that? And it's true, he was in it, and they knew he was in it, but they knew once it got released, it would exonerate him. Why? Because Trump and Elon never had a falling out, in my opinion. Because look, they were back having dinner together. They were being cozy at the Charlie Kirk Memorial, and he speaks highly of Trump now. They're good buddies now. The bromance is restored. I mean, come on. If you literally called Trump a pedophile, that's more or less what it was alluding to. That's how people took it. Do you think, he might forgive Elon, but he's certainly not going to cozy up to him again after he says he's a pedophile in the Epstein list, and now they're okay again. So the whole thing was framed, in my opinion, and that's not some Q stuff. That's just dissecting it and looking at it.
Well, Bill Maher just came out this week and apologized to the Q people, because he's like, I questioned you. It seems like you guys were right on more than not. Which is kind of funny. I'm sure Yotivation was happy to hear that. I've given her a bunch of crap for following Q.
Oh, yeah, there's a kernel of truth with Q for sure. I've said that over and over again. I don't believe everything he said. Yeah, a kernel, that's the thing. Yeah. And so, it woke some people up, man, but then it got hijacked. I mean, most people will admit that Q probably started out as real intelligence from within the Trump administration, and then it was shortly thereafter hijacked. That's the way I've understood it, and I've heard this from multiple people that know a whole lot more about it than I do.
Yeah, the whole trust the plan thing. But anyway, we are also going to, in relation to Epstein, get Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in for a deposition next week sometime. And so we've got that coming up. That should be interesting. They're out there demanding that it be made completely public, but it is my theory that they want that because a lot of classified things can't be asked if it's public. And Comer and the gang want to ask the real questions, the ones that can't be asked in public, that really blow the doors open on all this stuff. So that could be a bombshell, although we won't see anything directly from it because it is behind closed doors. But we'll get leaks and we'll get, all the kind of stuff that comes out of that. And then eventually we'll learn more and more of the truth of that as it is allowed to come out, which is interesting. Mm-hmm. We also had Ghislaine Maxwell take the fifth. She was in a deposition this week, and she took the fifth. She was in a deposition this week, and she took the fifth. She's really not going to open her mouth till she gets some immunities. And so I think that's what that's all about, is she's looking for a deal. And if she gets the deal, she'll talk and spill the beans. But until then, she's going to keep her lips shut.
Yeah.
So we've got a couple of other
it. It looks
things
like
there.
Looks like things are headed in our direction. I mean, Trump's the one that released the Epstein files. Say whatever you want, that he was the one holding it back and blah, blah, blah. He's the one that signed off on it. And I said from day one, it's coming out, that the stuff has not disappeared. It's coming out. Just wait and see. And it wasn't but a couple of months after I said that on the radio that it did come out. And this, by the way, let me mark my words now. This is the first drop. There's another drop coming. There's over, I don't know how many million more pages that have yet to be dropped. They dropped the lighter version first to get everybody shocked and appalled. And then the last one will even, take everybody over the edge. Because look, the Epstein drop has changed the paradigm as far as people, how they approach their worldview now. It's totally different now. People are fed up. The gloves are off politically and spiritually speaking now. It's another one of those turning points that we talk about a lot on the show. There's turning points that happen in this pivot towards our victory.
Yeah, and it's really, we're seeing the effects here, but in the UK, it's really big. Keir Starmer, one of his like top campaign guys, is just gone down. He's completely done. Prince Andrew, done. Was it Fergie? Is also in there just gushing over Epstein. A lot of people over there were just gushing over the guy. Literally, like, you're the best. I can't wait to see you again. Noam Chomsky is in there doing that kind of stuff. And it's like, dude, you're some philosopher and you're out there gushing over this pedophile. Like, what is up?
I would like to know what beef jerky means. I would like to know what beef jerky means.
Beef jerky. That's one of the code, like the hot dog and pizza and all that stuff?
It appears to be some kind of code. And based on some of the stuff I've read and what most everybody is saying is that it's babies. They're eating babies or adrenochrome or something like that. Because one of the persons that supposedly is making the beef jerky for one of the people that is in contact with Epstein said, "Hey, we got this expert chef. We got this expert chef, and he works at a restaurant called Cannibal and Cook."
All right, you're introducing this with 10 seconds left before the break. I'd love to expand on that, but we just don't have time. Maybe we will have to when we come back just for legal purposes. But, folks, this is the Censorship Sucks Roundtable radio show. We'll be right back after this.
Good show, guys.
God.
Oh, that was...
Oh, literally. At the 40-second mark, you bring up cannibals and babies, and I'm like, oh, shit, dude. Like, really?
Whatever you do, don't mention about eating horses and Canadians. Roger will go bananas about that, because he thinks all the Canadians love to eat horse meat.
Well, I mean, it's just...
Is he Canadian? He's not Canadian.
No, but...
So he'll go crazy about that. Okay. He'll just get excited, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I learned about this from a guy you talk about a lot, CS. You told me, Asmongold, he's the one that posted all this stuff. He posted all these, and I was like, what?
Yeah, Asmongold's interesting.
I never really, I think I'd seen him before, but I'd never really known that he had such, slam dunk videos. So I I started watching him a little bit more now because, I mean, I'd heard you mention his name. So when I saw him and I saw like, oh, this is the guy he talks about a lot.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He
So-
definitely gets into it, man. He does like 6-8 hours of streaming a day, at least.
Mm-hmm.
So he covers everything ultimately, and
It's a
then
full-time.
pull it
It's a
into
full-time
clips. So.
gig. I'll get the exact quote about the cannibal and cooks. I've got the actual.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we
drop.
need a source for that. We can't let that just hang out there.
Yeah.
It's to Jeffrey Epstein, but who it's from is actually redacted. So, yeah. You want to hear it so you kind of have an idea. It says Francis has time to come tomorrow to show me how to make it. Speaking of jerky, jerky, Asmongold and the Epstein drop. Basically, it's a confirmed Epstein drop.
It's on the emails, yeah.
It's an email drop. And it says, he will also bring you a taste of his new jerky recipe from the restaurant and sends does it say something hello? He is working at a restaurant called Cannibal and Cooks. Wait for it. Beef jerky and steak. He has time at 3 p.m. tomorrow, if this is okay with you, Jeffrey. I don't know, man. And then there's a bunch of these beef jerky stuff that's just, everybody loving the beef jerky. It's super delicious. Although I don't want it cold. I want it hot next time. I don't know. And make sure it's refrigerated. Why would you refrigerate beef jerky?
Yeah, I've never heard of hot beef jerky. That's like not how it works.
No, here's the thing. It's definitely code for something. Yeah, no, you're 100% right.
Yeah,
it's code for something.
Okay.
It's just and this is, again, speculation, but who knows, man? Just crazy stuff, man. And I just can't wait to see the second set of drops, man. Oh. And then also we have all of these Congress people now have looked at the names. They have the names now. Which means to me, there's no way there's not going to be prosecutions. All these doom and gloomers, we're not going to have any prosecutions. It's going to be the same old thing. We're going to have all this stuff be disclosed, but nothing's going to be done. Really? How are you going to push this stuff under the rug now that congressmen and women have actually seen the names of these people that are doing these horrible things? How is that going to just be ignored? I want to know.
Anyways, 30 seconds.
Come on up.
I wish I had the number of the drop. Usually there's a DHS number or DOJ number.
And here it comes. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And you are back live and on the radio side right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Censorship Sucks Roundtable radio show. It is Wednesday night, February 11th, 2026. And if you know anything about this show and you're a longtime listener, you know that my co-host Barry loves to come up with a huge, juicy drop that's extremely controversial and deserves a good 10 minutes of analysis. And he'll always like to drop those with about 15 seconds before we go to break. And that is what we got in the last segment. Holy cow, what are you talking about? Beef jerky. What is this stuff going on here in the Epstein files?
I mean, that's the question. What is going on and what is beef jerky? I mean, we already know about all the other codes that the FBI has talked about, pizza and hot dogs, and they all mean and represent different things from boy love, pedophilia, et cetera, et cetera. Well, now they're using this code word in a lot of these drops called about beef jerky. And here's one to Jeffrey Epstein. And here's what it says. I'll read it real quickly. Francis has time to come tomorrow to show me how to make it. Speaking of jerky there. Jerky class, anyone? He will also bring you a taste of his new jerky recipe from the restaurant and sends a warm hello. He's working at a restaurant called Cannibal and Cooks. And then he says, wait for it, beef jerky and steak. He has time at 3 p.m. tomorrow if this is okay with you. Speaking to Jeffrey Epstein. So we have a lot of these beef jerky drops. And I mean, there's a bunch of them about, don't forget to freeze the jerky. But you don't freeze jerky. Jerky doesn't need to be frozen. Or we're going to walk the jerky up. You don't walk jerky up anywhere. Doesn't have feet.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's just all these.
I've never had steak and jerky together. You know what I mean? I like steak and jerky. What? Who eats steak and jerky at the same time? It's completely different. You have jerky in the car on the way home from work, and then you get home and you have steak for dinner. Right?
Yeah, it's a snack. Beef jerky is a snack.
Yeah. I mean, I go to your house, Barry, you cook me a steak and you put a piece of beef jerky on the side. I'm just going to look at what? What is that doing there, dude? No offense. I love protein. I'll eat it, but it's just weird. It's a little weird, bro.
Yeah. And I think that's the point that everybody's trying to make. Now, a lot of the speculation is around it possibly being, I hate to even go here, man, but there's drops about torture and murder, kill and stuff. But we'll just steal the light version. It's possibly adrenochrome, something like that. So anyway,
it always goes back to that, doesn't it?
Well, we've heard about it for a long time, and apparently there's a lot of whistleblowers that have come forward. Jim Caviezel talked about it from his.
Give me a second. I've had a little bit of an issue. I'll get it straightened out. Sorry about that. Okay. And I've had a little. And I've.
It's just the worst parts of war. Heck, Iran may or may not have, killed 50,000 of their people in the last couple of weeks. 80,000. I've seen numbers as high as 90,000, and I've heard numbers as small as 5,000. Somewhere in between there is the truth, and that's an ugly reality. Because if that's the case, if Iran has done that to their own people in the last month, then it's bigger than Gaza over 3 years. It's bigger. And it took them 1 month to do it. Imagine if they had 3 years to quell this uprising. How many people will be dead at the end of that? It'll make the 30,000 Palestinians seem like a drop in the bucket, which is sad because we all hate death anywhere we see it. But let's put some perspective into the world, What's happening in Iran is just on a global scale one of the biggest atrocities we've seen in our lifetimes, and I'm comparing it to some perspective of Ukraine and Russia. Approaching 1 million dead at some point this spring is just across 1 million dead.
Yeah,
but it's taken them 4 or 5 years to get there. At this pace, Iran will get there in 6 months, 9 months.
Maybe I don't know. And you speak of perspective. And you look at, all the things that different elites have done over the years, from democide and just mass murder and all the kinds of things. It doesn't seem too out there that they're into some really dark things. And here's how I kind of look at it from a perspective that makes sense of it all. The dark web exists, and all kinds of terrible things are on the dark web. I just look at what I'm seeing in these drops as there's probably some very powerful people at the highest levels that are into things that you see, not that you and I have ever seen, but that, are on the dark web. And I won't go into details. Everybody knows what's on the dark web, man, the evil stuff that's on there. I'm not saying it's all evil, but we know there's all kinds of videos being sold of all kinds of horrible, heinous crimes that are taking place. So if it happens among the common people, of course, it happens among the elite too. Not saying all the elite, but certainly probably some secret shadowy cabal. It makes sense. It's not conspiracy theory. It's just being grounded and rooted in reality.
Yep. And it isn't, we got to be careful, but yeah, at the same time, there's a lot of nasty, bad people out there, you know. How far it goes, we don't want to, the risk here is to make it sound so over the top that nobody believes it, nobody starts caring about it anymore, because it just sounds so crazy that, you know, my Lord. So from that standpoint, though, we do know there's bad people out there, and we need to keep them in check, and hopefully that's what's going to be happening here through the next year or so, as this escalation into these files. That, you know, again, folks, if there was anything in there that was going to take Donald Trump down, we would have learned about it years ago, way before 2024 when he ran again. I mean, yeah, we would have known about it. The impeachment in his first term would have been all about that, or it would have come out before he ran in 2015. So that he never had a chance in the world because he was a, quote, pedophile. If that was out there in any way, shape, or form, they would have known about it for years and years and years, and it would not be coming out now in some, you know, back page of some page dump, you know, document dump. It would be front and center years ago. So I just leave that out there as well. And
well, you know, there's a drop in 2019 from Epstein, right, that proves that he was trying to get Trump. And he was trying to get something on Trump, get him. Now, let's explain what that actually means. That was in 2019. Now, if Trump had been to Pedophile Island, we know that Epstein filmed everything. He wouldn't need to look for something to get Trump on, because he would already have everything he needed if Trump was one of the pedophiles and had been to the island, because he films everything. That we know that now. That's documented, right? They pulled when the FBI raided that place. They got all those videos and discs.
Wow. And you know, for a lot of these people, they go to Epstein Island, and it's like, you want to do this? Well, it's just one more person that's going to have dirt on you. You know what I mean? It's just one more person out of like 50 in Hollywood, another 40 in Washington D.C., and 20 more in New York, and you're just owned by everyone at that point. Who cares? You know, some of these people that go in there, well, you're already owned. Why not just add another person to your blackmail list? Who cares at this point? Just add another person to your blackmail list. Who cares at this point? You got your life. You're not going to be bankrupt, but you're going to be controlled. And you're going to go out and have to say what they tell you to say, and believe what they tell you to believe, and do what they tell you to do.
Well, it's a miracle that the Democrats wanted these files released, and all the big top influencers on X were begging Trump, you got to release the Epstein files. But I think right now, because most of them are Democrats that are in there, like 99.9%,
and you're going to go out and have to say what they tell you.
All Democrats. They're not conservatives or Republicans. They're not communicating with Epstein. You know what I'm saying? Now, there's a few that are in there that are Republican, but you know, but it's somewhat ambiguous, you know, as to what they did. You know, just because you had contact with Epstein doesn't mean anything. He was kind of portrayed as a philanthropist and a guy that loaned money, gave money, and made connections. So some people just might have hung around for that purpose and had nothing to do with the pedophile island. Like, what's the guy that works with Trump, Lindick or whatever his name is? He's kind of in trouble because even though he probably didn't participate in the activities, he said that he never really hung out with Epstein, and he did. That's in the files. So he's probably going to be being let go. And hey, I'm okay with that. You know what I'm saying? I'm okay with that. Yeah. I'm not just I'm about the truth. Now, I don't think he did anything, but I think that he lied to the public by saying him and his wife met Jeffrey Epstein because they lived next door to each other, and then they quickly exited his house, and that him and his wife said, we want nothing to do with this guy because he's evil. Well, then next thing you know, he's at the island having dinner with his wife and his kids and another family.
Yeah, it's wild stuff, man. It's wild stuff. I think Steve Bannon's even caught up in this stuff now. What, he had that 25-hour interview he did with him like a decade ago and never released?
Yeah, we talked about it on the show, remember?
Yeah, I think he's been,
I keep hearing those,
like he sell Trump under the bus.
Well, I've heard that, but I've yet to see that. Now, I did watch the 2-hour interview, and I don't see anything weird about the interview. In fact, I think the interview actually exposed Epstein and showed what kind of monster and narcissistic mind he operates under. And of course, Bannon called him a schmuck and a miser and all other kinds of things in the interview and cornered him, but it wasn't a gotcha type of interview, those 2 hours that have been released. It was more of an interview of, hey, we want some answers as to like, what was your role in the things that you did besides what was your the pedophile role stuff, in the things and I don't know, there's another 13 hours that nobody has seen, so maybe the questions are tougher. They weren't tough questions, but it did give us an insight into the psychopathic mind of Jeffrey Epstein. And after I finished watching it, I realized just how some answers much his like mindset was a lot like a lot of the serial killers like Charles Manson. I mean, he's actually a very brilliant person. He's a smart person. I mean, a lot of psychopaths are.
Oh, yeah, exactly. And they have no remorse for what they do. That's the next key thing is so you can make $1 million and screw someone else over completely, and it's just no remorse whatsoever. You got your million.
Yeah, he admitted in the interview he was not self-aware. He said, I am not self-aware. Because when Bannon asked him, did you ever feel like there's a reason why when you were in prison that you wound up there? Like having a moment of remorse or having a moment of reflection. And he looked at Bannon and he said, I'm not self-aware. Because when Bannon asked, because a narcissist psychopath can't be, because it would get in the way of them continuing their lifestyle.
Exactly. So anyway, let's move on a little bit. We got some big news out of the NIH. The new director has announced the other day that, quote, as far as the NIH, we paused every single project that is even anywhere within the vicinity of something that could be gain of function. And the White House is working on a policy that will make it so that it never happens again. Jay Bhattacharya, by the way, his name, NIH director. Nowhere in the United States government will we invest in a project that poses a risk of catastrophic harm to the American people ever again. Looking at you, Fauci, ever again. Admitting that the government did invest in this stuff. We will never do it again. We paused every single project that is even anywhere within the vicinity of something that could harm people like this. Gain of function. Gain of function, folks. It's taking a virus, taking something out there and making it more and more deadly, more and more deadly, more and more deadly, so that you can study how to fight it in those deadly forms. It's so dumb that it just borders on psychopathic, the same thing we were just talking about with Epstein. It takes a special kind of psycho to do stuff like this and think you're smarter than God to be able to manipulate the deadliest pathogens that are placed on this planet to make them more deadly and more deadly. And some of those might just end up with the military if you really hit a home run. Now you got big money coming in because you just created a virus that'll kill half of Russia in a day. So this is nasty stuff, and it's fantastic to see it being stopped completely. Yeah. As of now and forevermore going forward. Yeah.
I remember when President Trump took office, we talked about that. We're like, what are some of the things we want to see him do? And I know I said, and I think you said as well, in the gain of function stuff, it's just, after the shamdemic, do we need any other lesson other than that? Because even it's admitted that it came out of the Wuhan virus. She eventually admitted that. She says it was an accident, which makes no difference whether it was on purpose or accident, because it can happen. That's why you can't be making viruses that wipe out 50, 60, 80, or 90% of the population. It's way too dangerous.
And this ignores, though, the elephant in the room, which is China, or say India, or say any other large country that has the budget to do this stuff, the gain of function on their own. We banned it here in the United States. And so what did they do? They moved it to China. Fauci took all this stuff, put it under the rug, and sent it over to China to be done over there. So, all this gain of function was being done over there in the first place. So they understand it. They know it. They have they're the ones doing it over there. So what's to stop them from doing it? And that really is an important question. Because it doesn't matter if we stop. If they don't, we're still in danger because obviously these things leak from a lab in China, and boom, next thing you know, it's in New York and it's all over America in a week.
Yeah.
So
because the world is small,
be
it doesn't take one day from a flight. One flight, dude, is all it takes. Someone from China that has it flies into America, and then all of a sudden you got the domino effect.
Yeah, and it's got to be such a thing that if you're caught as a country doing this stuff, it's like you immediately. I have to understand that the second we find out about it, like what, we have to nuke the facility to Kingdom Come, and if you put it in the middle of a city, then, you're idiots because you just killed all your people. What was this thing doing in the middle of a city anyway? What do you do? Did you go in with special teams of SEAL Force 6 with, scientists in those, suits that can't allow any diseases in? That kind of stuff. How do you move forward with that? It's brutal.
Well, it makes
I don't know the answer.
It makes good for a movie, because they've had these contagion virus movies forever. But that's where we need to keep it safe in our home, in a fiction sense. And here's the question I have for everybody listening, and you too. You can give your response to it. If the globalists are such good people, and they're having all these meetings, Davos, the WEF meetings, all these global summits and stuff, but they really care about humanity. Why are they inviting people like Fauci and Bill Gates who are behind this gain of function stuff? Shouldn't that be the top priority for them, is to say, well, we love the world and we want peace in the world and we want, the world safe. Let's end all gain of function. And yet you've heard none of them say anything about ending gain of function. And if anything, man, they're still hanging out with the people that are probably still doing it or at least promoting still doing it.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned Bill Gates. The guy, it's just sad to see the kind of stuff he's into and what he thinks the world's going to look like. It's so negative. It's just so negative that these viruses are, the key, and the vaccines that we can make off the viruses, and how we can put the vaccines in your food so everybody gets them. We can put it in the corn. Like every corn, boom, you're vaccinated. Mosquitoes, yeah. Let's dim the sun, right?
That's like the crazy. Well, that and the farting of the cows. Those are the two craziest things. Like, why have we put up with such nonsense? Why have we allowed such lunacy? That's a mad person. That's an insane lunatic wanting to dim the sun and wanting to stop cows from farting. Give me a break, man. Please, people, wake up. I'm begging you.
Europe is on the verge of signing an agreement with Brazil and South America to basically import all of their produce, all their meats, everything. And it's a huge boon for South America. Think all the money. But it's shockingly bad for the farmers in Europe, And if you think about a lot of these places, man, they've been there for hundreds and hundreds of years. Dozens of generations. In the same families, making the same cheese, making the same whatever it is, sausages, you name it, for centuries, whatever it is, and then it's just all being thrown out the window. All that culture, all that specialization, all that knowledge. They don't want it there. They want it to be imported. And so you're taking all of the stuff that you're requiring people to do in Europe to make it clean and environmentally friendly as best they can, and you're sending it over to South America where they don't care at all. Where there's no regulations. They can do whatever they want. You want to throw pesticides everywhere, go for it. Nobody cares. It's South America, And so at the end of the day, the world gets dirtier. Every single foreign policy that the left looks at is like that. Yeah, we can't dig up any oil in the United States. Stop all drilling here. Okay, so what do? You import it from places where it's drilled much dirtier, like Venezuela or South America, or the Middle East, where you got to ship it halfway across the planet, when you could just be pulling it up right in your backyard, refining it in your front yard, and then putting it in your tank in the driveway, and off you go. Self-sustainable government. It's so crazy to see the policies that they put in place. They never make sense when you look past the first layer. You know what I'm saying, Barry?
Yeah, I think what they want is just, all over the world, even in America, probably not so much with Trump, but in the past, they want to give us more the illusion of freedom and limited freedom. It's kind of like they said that in the Hunger Games, the Donald Sutherland character. He's like, well, we don't want to completely enslave them. We want to give them some hope, just not too much hope. And I feel like that was kind of like a pivotal line in that film. And it just resonated with me with kind of how the globalists operate. But at some point in time, if they get, their foothold where they have total control, we'll have no freedom. For now, it's limited freedom. But if they get it that way, it's zero freedom. It's the hive mind. It's the social credit score, the tracking, tracing, surveilling, AI algorithms, AI tracking. I mean, CBDCs. I mean, if they get their vision, there's no freedom. Freedom is completely gone. Censorship goes off the chart. You won't even be able to speak. You'll be arrested because the AI algorithms will be, they're already doing it in nations around the world right now. If you say the wrong thing, wrong think, or wrong speak, you are literally arrested for that now.
Absolutely. And I was just thinking about that, on a global scale, it's so different because we sit here in America and complain about this stuff, but we're by far the freest country out there. So we're fighting at sort of the front end of the battle where there's a lot of people on this planet behind us that have already been buried under so much censorship that they barely can even fight anymore. They barely even have a voice. And so, I don't know, they hear us and they think, are we just complaining? Or are we, actually out there trying to keep the rest of the world being lifted up? As we lift up America, Canada must follow, the UK must follow, France must follow. When they see that they've taken away X from most of Europe, and they wake up one day and X is just gone. And it will be, folks. Mark my words. It's coming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
There'll be a day where you wake up and X will be gone. And so they're going to wake up and get really pissed.
Coming after us. I was just saying, you talk about how all the different nations are going after Musk.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. It's coming, man. They don't like him because he is putting out, he's found a way to give, he owns a way to give people the right to share their own voices. And you don't have to be the New York Times to have a voice on Twitter.
Did you hear that he's going to pay the people now just for basically participating? You're going to get paid.
Nice. That's beautiful. It's as it should be,
He's changing the payment programs, what I'm saying. And it's going to be better for people that maybe aren't super duper influential, but they post daily and they have some reach. They might make a little bit of money too. So I say share the wealth. Great job, Elon, if that's true.
Absolutely. And it just gets people energized when they're seeing just any little something or something. You know what I mean? All of a sudden they love it. It's like, hey, I don't make much, but I make something. Let me take you out to dinner. At least I can buy you dinner with this money I made. And, normally I get nothing. Normally for my whole life, everyone just gets nothing. But at least it's some recognition that I do get X number of people that follow my feed because they like what I put up. Right? And they come back.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah, it's like, the big news organizations controlled every dime of that in the past. Now it can be distributed down to just regular users. And it doesn't have to be always news or, it can be sports, it can be cooking, it can be jokes, it can be memes, it can be whatever it is. I mean, some of the biggest earners out there are probably meme channels,
Right. It's all about leveling the playing field, which is what we've talked about. So you have those two paths happening, tyranny on one side, and then the leveling of the playing field on the other side. Monopolies, consolidating power on this side, and then on the other side, we have, people wanting freedom, people wanting, equal opportunity, and, no more monopolies. Everybody gets a free shot, like America really was founded on, America really wasn't founded on, consolidating power to just a few people and letting them control everything. That's not the American way.
It isn't. But you know what is the American way? Taking our breaks on time. Folks, this is the Censorship Sucks Roundtable radio show, and we'll be right back after these messages.
Great job, guys.
Yes, sir. Thanks, sir.
Man, you're really on it tonight, Barry. How much?
You are.
We got good chemistry tonight. It's not me. It's both of us, man. We're just bouncing off each other.
Oh, no, man. A couple times I thought you were going to be like flying up the bullhorn flag and taking down the frog flag. We're good.
Well, John has been talking about Elon, man. I just, I'm just now
You just
I'm
get
getting
excited.
the importance
It's
of
okay.
why he was stressing that, man, because they really, you know, I mean, I know it was important, but I get why John was saying over and over and over, man, they're coming after him. It's because look what he's done. He's literally opened up narratives that never would be heard. None of this Epstein stuff would be being seen. The only place you would hear it would be on InfoWars. And that's not going to be everybody going to InfoWars. A lot of people don't like Alex Jones. They just don't like his temperament. They don't like his style. So they won't go see him, even if he's got great information. So X has just opened up the door. And that's why, you know, the UK and Canada and France and everybody wants them, you know, just to stop having free speech and start, you know, curtailing what can be said. I get it, CS. I mean, it's important, man. It really is. I mean, we need more than just X, but without X, I think we might be somewhat screwed, really.
Well, we're going to lose the room here pretty soon, so we'll just lose it. Then I'll just get a
CS, you'll have to comment on that. You'll have to comment on that. Because I'd like to hear your take, man. Because you're the one that's been ranting about it, and I'm in agreement.
Sorry, I just stepped away for a second. My take on what?
I was just giving you a compliment, man. See, you didn't even get the compliment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to step away for 1 second, man. You were on rants. I didn't want to interrupt you. Just to let you know, I'm stepping away for a second.
No, I was ranting about your just being on par, man, with the Elon thing. You know,
oh, yeah.
And how they're coming after, and how it's up.
All right,
you know,
guys. I'm going to take us
picture.
to the next room. All right, so we'll catch you
All right.
on the next one. Sorry, Barry, didn't mean to cut you off, but running out of time. All right. All right. You back?
Yep.
All right.
Anyway, what I was saying was in the next second hour, I mean, you should elaborate a little bit on, you know, what you see about why they're going after him and why it's so important that X is, you know, somewhat free speech, because I'm seeing that bigger picture that you've talked about now, you know, and why they're going after him so hard. But you probably have deeper insight into it than I do. I'm just kind of, you know, pulling off of what you said. And but it's important, man. I mean, if we didn't have that narrative to have our voice, I mean, that voice to be spoken on X, where would we be right now? I just don't think we'd be in the same place.
Well, the irony is it might have actually propelled Minds into a significant website. You know what I mean? Or propelled some other Minds type site to actually succeed. Because everyone is sick enough of it that they really were looking for that alternative. And, you know, no one was going to sign up for X until Musk bought it. Once he bought it, all bets were off.
Yeah. Well, I think you're right. They were going to other places, other media choices. But I think if you're an elite person, it's easier to shut down John and Bill Ottman than it is Elon Musk.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So if Minds got too big, they could easily shut it down. But you can't easily shut down a trillionaire.
Mm-hmm.
Not so easy. You know, and he can, if anybody wants to sue him, I mean, he can keep that going for as long as needed because he has an endless supply of money.
Yeah. He can make it so you have to get an attorney from like 2 states over because he hired every single one in the tri-state area. You know.
There you go. Yeah. Why not? He could do that easily.
Yeah. Just put them all on, because this guy probably got to work for him legitimately too. Anyway, you know.
Exactly. I mean, yeah, he's not the kind of person you want to go to battle with in a court system unless you really got something concrete on him. Because you know they do this to the little guy all the time, and they bankrupt him, and then they end up saying, we'll give you a plea deal, and then they're found guilty for something they never did. I mean, it's a very corrupt system, as we all know. They play dirty, man. These people do. The people that are corrupt and nefarious, they play by the absolute dirtiest of rules. That's their strength. And they have no problem like bankrupting you, putting you in jail for something you never did. They don't care. Like you said, they got no feeling, man. No emotions. Roger Stone was talking about that on the show, Alex Jones show today as well. I was like, yeah, exactly, man. He was saying these people, they're callous. They have no feelings. None. I mean, they were going to put Roger Stone away for life for nothing. He would have died inside that prison.
Oh, yeah. They want to do that to many people. Donald Trump. If they had their way, he'd be in jail right now until he's dead.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. That's why I think we're going to have indictments, indictments and convictions, because there's no way he'll never have a life if he doesn't do it. They will come after him, they'll come after his family, and they'll come after anybody associated with him once the Democrats get the power again. That may not be 2028, but it could be 2032.
Well, they left Trump alone before he announced that he was running. Then the day he announced he was running again, they formed every committee they could and went after him. They got Letitia James and her boyfriend and all those folks. Brought him up to the White House, gave him briefings, sent him marching orders, and off they went, and they sued the crap out of him from 50 different directions, you know?
Yep.
Guess who's in the chat, Barry? Cecilia.
Oh. Is she true?
Yeah.
What kind of crowds do we got in the rooms today, Mark?
Well, you just told you we got Cecilia out there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I was doing something.
She's the most important one for us right now, right? Her, Roger and Wobbly. They're the ones talking the most.
I can't do it anymore. I lost it. I guess I just don't have that gap. Like hello, Allie.
Okay, so we covered that. We got an hour left, boy.
Dude, an hour's gonna go by so fast. We could go on an hour for just one topic if we wanted to. And then within that topic, it would segue naturally and organically on its own.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Because you've been doing this for what, 8 years now? Is that what you said earlier? Like 8 years? Is that long?
Yeah, getting there.
So, yeah.
30 seconds, guys. Guys.
Oh, God. That's too soon, Mark.
It's too soon. I'm scared.
Oh, my God.
Can we just push it back like a minute?
Yeah, I'm sweating.
I gave you an extra 30 seconds. That's one.
I want honey in my tea. I won't have time to put honey in my tea if you do it that quickly.
Anyways, here's your countdown. 5.
Oh, God.
4, 3, 2, 1, and you're live right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. February 11th, 2026. Bullhorn Barry, what's going on over there? You psyched? You ready?
I am, man. You know, it's the hour just goes by so fast. You know, we need to get back to 3 hours, I think.
Okay, we can do that maybe. I don't know. It's 3 hours is a long time. But anyway, let's go up to Canada. We had a shooting in a school up there, tragically. 9 people dead, a couple dozen were injured. It was in British Columbia at a high school. And so for all the people out there that say, you know, these only happen in America, well, you know, sadly, here's one from British Columbia in Canada. And, well, I don't know, the suspect, at first they said it was a woman wearing a dress. Okay, Then they said it was a gun person. A gun person, not a gunman, a gun person. You ever heard that?
Yeah, that tells. Yeah, I already know where this is going.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of gun person though? It's like what do we say? A person kind, not humankind.
Fluid. They're fluid people.
Yeah, gun person. Then it turns out it's a a trans, someone very, very sick in the head, who is, man, have you seen these pictures of this person?
I haven't in this particular case, but I've seen all the other transgender terrorists, and they're terrifying.
You would never in a million years, think that this is a woman in any way, shape, or form, right? Beautiful pink dress, I'll give her that. I'll give him that.
Sure.
But, big, thick, 5 o'clock shadow, very overweight, a dude. By all sense, if you want to be a woman, at least present as a woman in some way or shape or form, not just putting on a dress, So, I don't know, big tragedy. And, there's a lot of people that are hurt, and probably the number of victims, the number of casualties will probably sadly go up before all said and done. But, my heart goes out to Canada. Folks, you can't encourage this stuff. They say, well, when someone's trans, you have to completely affirm it because they're suicidal at that point. Well, if you're pushing people into this lifestyle and trying to convince, I think in San Francisco, one out of like every 8 kids or something is trans. It's staggering numbers, huge numbers. Like half are gay, because they're not naturally growing up to find out who they are. They're being force-fed down little channels to say, oh, you picked up a doll once when you were a 3-year-old boy, so you've just been labeled a girl ever since. Because, one day you went over to the toy chest and didn't pick up the Tyrannosaurus Rex, you picked up the Barbie doll. So boom, now we got you. Now you're going to be a trans boy or girl, or however that logic works out. You see where I'm going, Barry? When you take a society and you push this stuff down everyone's throat, then that at-risk amount of people who are trans goes up exponentially. And so therefore, we know that the numbers for trans people are very scary, that one, half of them or some number, self-hurt at some point. And that's tragic. We don't want that. But why push people into a lifestyle where they're so unhappy that half of them attempt suicide at some point? Why force that on them? Because it's your true self. Well, your true self is never going to be happy when you look in the mirror and you're not what you think you are. You're not what you're telling everyone and what the world tells you are. But you look in the mirror and you're just not that pretty girl, period.
Okay.
So it's tragic, man. We need to do something with the mental health to help people understand that, this isn't normal. And we shouldn't be encouraging it in our youngest children.
Oh, absolutely not, man. Children are vulnerable, don't even, know what they believe or what to believe. They don't have the capacity. I mean, they still believe in the Easter Bunny. And you're going to tell them that they're another gender? I mean, that's just pure evil, brother.
Yeah, you can't get a tattoo, for another 6-7 years. But sure, we'll, castrate you, put you on all kinds of crazy drugs that'll change you forever. Even though they say, no, they don't change you forever. You can go off hormone. No, it's puberty blocker. If I go on puberty blocker at 12 and go off them at 15, I missed my puberty. It's gone. You don't get that back. Okay, some of it maybe comes back. You stop taking them and boom, all of a sudden a lot of things happen real quick, but it's not the same as going through puberty naturally as a man or as a woman. It's not the same to hinder that and push it back and then all of a sudden let the, faucet sort of drain out. It's not the same. You're not going to be the person you were supposed to be. And, I could get into some of the details and they're not pretty, what you end up having and what your body does later on in life. It's not good. None of it's good.
I think the whole idea is flawed, telling people I have to affirm something. This whole world is based on, developing your own thoughts, your own morals, and everybody gets to, in a free society, have their own moral position. A lot of people don't think that, being transgender is morally the right thing to do. And people should be able to have that opinion, right? And there are people that obviously hate Christians. I mean, they go into churches and interject, shoot up. Some transgender shoots up, a bunch of Christian children and babies in mass or in a school or, teenagers or younger. They hate Christians. They're not affirming Christians, and we're not saying you have to affirm Christianity, but we are saying you need to not be killing people. Just because I don't affirm that lifestyle doesn't mean I don't love them. It doesn't mean that I don't think they should have all the rights that I have, because they do. That's the whole thing. Trump took down the LGBTQ plus flag next to the American flag in New York City somewhere, and the left lost their mind. Well, why do we need that flag up there? And if you're going to be inclusive, we should have a straight flag right next to it. That's only fair, right? If you're being inclusive,
one flag for every American.
Well, I was getting there. Let me finish. That's the point.
Yeah,
the American, we don't need any flag up other than the American flag up there, because the American flag already represents everyone. Period. So you're basically, what you're doing is you're assaulting people that don't believe like you do by saying we're better. No, the flag already says equality, but they don't want equality. This isn't about equality. It's about equity. There's a difference. They want equity, not equality. They want injustice, not justice. I mean, it's just a no-brainer, man. People think what's going on here. Everybody gets to have their own moral stance and their own moral position. That doesn't mean you cancel and ban them because they have a different moral position. I know there's a lot of people out there, they believe that, having sex with people when they're married is okay. I don't agree with that, but you're free to have that opinion.
Yeah, like all the swingers. I was saw some headline about how the swinger community is really big in Utah nowadays.
Oh yeah,
which is obviously the Mormon hotbed and very religious part of the
it's kind of weird, right?
Yeah, but hey, I guess if you got 3 wives anyway, right? What's the problem?
Yeah, well, I think 1 is more than enough. I'm just saying. I'm sure women would agree as well. They'd probably like 1 man is more than enough. Yeah, I barely can handle him. So anyway.
But yeah, it's a tragedy what happened up in Canada, and obviously we wish them all the best, and that's why we give this advice, because we don't want to see it happen again. And the way they're going up there, this is going to get more and more common. Of course they did a big gun buyback. They're in the middle of it right now, trying to take every last gun off the street. But it's funny, it's voluntary, but it's also mandatory. You have to give up your gun after the buyback is done. So if you have said gun after the buyback, it's illegal, it's a felony, all that stuff. But the buyback is voluntary. They never mandated that. So they say, oh, we'll have buybacks, but they won't be mandatory. Yeah, but then you'll just take them away afterwards and be left with one, then you're a criminal. And when you go ahead. What do they say? When you criminalize guns, and only criminals will have guns. Is that how it goes?
Oh yeah, exactly. No, that's pretty much wherever they have the most highest gun restrictions. It has never stopped crime whatsoever. In fact, most of those places have higher crime rates. But I want to know what this guy's, background is. Like, what kind of things was he saying on social media? Or was there a manifesto? Like, why is he targeting 12-year-olds? That's kind of sick, And by the way, I was just going to point out. Yeah.
I didn't know the ages of the victims. Were they that young?
There was a 39-year-old teacher and 5 students aged 12 to 13 years old. 3 girls and 2 boys.
Oh man!
So yeah, this is the kind of thing.
Or the...
Yeah, the victims.
Man, that's horrible. I didn't realize they were so young. Wow, that's brutal. So yeah, why target kids that age? I don't know. There's still a level of innocence in them,
Well, it wasn't Christian school because a lot of these transgenders target Christians. As we know, they've got mass, they've gone into Christian schools, and they killed the most innocent of people, man. And then you would have thought that they would have said, stop with this kind of extreme bigotry. But no, nobody in the mainstream media said that, except for maybe Fox News. And it may be like Gutfeld said something like that. But most of Fox News probably didn't say it either.
Well, there's a lot of, mainstream news out there that really does push this whole ethno-nationalist Christian, world that they are so scared of. And they think Donald Trump is looking to bring in, which he's not in any way, shape, or form. I mean, it's kind of a joke. They say he hates Jews, and yet he seems to do everything he can to, be friendly with Israel and support them. And gosh, I've said it before, when he goes to Thanksgiving, the vast majority of people at that dinner table in his home are Jews because all his kids have married Jews and all their grandkids are Jews. So, there's a lot of that going on out there. And so when the media comes out and says that these Christians want to kill you, they're creating a fear, a Christophobia, so to speak, a fear, an irrational fear of Christians into the minds of people who, if they really had the chance to sit down with these people, they would understand that they love them and want what's best for them. And they would never outlaw them or take away their rights or anything along those lines. We're here to help and just make life better for everyone so that the world can be the best place it can be, not isolate and, try to take away people's rights and whatnot. It's just about making, common sense a thing again. 2 + 2 is 4. It's never going to be 5. And until
I never heard the mainstream media talk about when it was Antifa and all those thugs out there during the BLM riots and all that kind of time period. There was a Christian group that was praying in a circle, just praying for peace or what have you. And there was a transgender that was one of their, people that was with them praying. They assaulted the transgender. And you didn't hear the mainstream media, transphobia, and obviously the Antifa person probably knew it was a transgender. Like you said, most people that are transgender, there's a few that fool people, like maybe a Blair, what's her last name? Blair something?
Blair White. Yeah.
I mean, some people might look at him and say, oh, that's a girl because, it's more, he's more convincing at doing it, whereas most men that pose as women still look like men. So you can't tell me that the Antifa guy didn't know he was beating up, a transgender dude that was in the prayer circle praying. So, and what about all those Christians there? They were being nice to the transgender. They weren't, they allowed the transgender to be there with them. And give me a break, folks. I'm not saying they approved of it, but they certainly allowed him to be an equal part.
Yeah, exactly. They didn't say, get out of here, you freak. They said, come join us. We love you. And they all prayed together. That's welcoming. It's the old meme where the guy's sitting on the middle line and there's someone on the left, someone on the right. And the guy on the left says, what do you agree with him for? And pushes him. And the guy on the right catches him. And he's like, what are you, with him now? And the guy in the middle is sort of like, yeah, I think I am. You just pushed me. He caught me. I was just sitting in the middle, minding my own business. And so, you start seeing more and more of that when the left pushes back like this and gets violent like they so often tend to. Here, I'll play a clip. This is Monica McIver, and she's under indictment for assaulting ICE agents. And she's talking to Ted Lyons here. And this is in a congressional meeting that they had recently. Sorry, let me wait for this thing to load. And she basically Ask him if he's going to go to hell, if he thinks he's going to hell. My apologies, this is loading so slowly. But it's shocking, when you're a human being on this planet and you look at another person and you think that you can judge their eternal soul from wherever you sit, you're an evil person. That's like probably one of the biggest sins you can commit as a person, as a human being, unto another. I mean, am I wrong, Barry?
You mean like just playing judge and jury and God?
Yeah, if you say to somebody, oh, look, I don't like what you're doing, you're going to go to hell for that, You're going to hell. It's, okay, if someone's out raping and murdering and doing horrible things, sure, okay, yeah, it's one thing. But when you just look at somebody who happens to be, in ICE, working as part of ICE, and you say because of your actions now, you're probably going to go to hell. Hey, let me play this.
So let me ask you some questions that you may be able to answer. Mr. Lyons, do you consider yourself a religious man?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, yes. Okay, well, how do you think Judgment Day will work for you with so much blood on your hands?
I'm not going to entertain that question.
Oh, okay, of course not. Do you think you're going to hell, Mr. Lyons?
I'm not going to entertain.
Of course not. How many governors?
The gentlelady will suspend. The gentlelady will suspend.
Chairman?
A gentlelady will suspend.
I mean, the level of scumbaggery to LaMonica McIver.
Yeah.
LaMonica McIver.
I did see that. I did see that.
Yeah.
That was kind of outrageous. But yeah, I mean, first of all, it's a straw man argument. He's not doing anything violent. There's no blood on his hands to begin with. You know what I'm saying? So if anything, the blood is on the people that are assaulting. They're assaulting. They assaulted a mom just yesterday. A bunch of like high school kids that got let out to protest, and then the police were there, and the police didn't even do anything about it. And then when she found her way to the police officer, she's like, "Why didn't you help?" And he said, "It's too dangerous." So he's admitting that they're violent. He's admitting that they're dangerous, and these are kids.
Those are kids.
That just were basically
high
let
school
out.
kids.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I know, I saw that video. I couldn't believe it. But what I do hope is that, you could see the perpetrators' faces clearly in the video. And that principal better have them all in there the next morning with expulsion or very, very long suspensions and permanent record kind of stuff,
Well, they're going to be praised. They're going to be praised because they're the people that sent them out to go out. And I don't think they gave them specific instructions. Be completely peaceful now.
Well,
I'm
where's
just
the
saying,
superintendent of the district?
areas.
Somebody, the mayor, the governor, somebody's got to get involved at some point if there's no ramifications for that. You're sending kids out in the streets to assault parents, and they can get away with it?
I mean,
it's unbelievable. It's so
it's not
wrong.
It's not even a safe environment to put kids in when you have radical anti-ICE people that are violent. Why would you put kids in a situation where there's violent people on the left?
Exactly. Where people are getting, shot and killed because they're interfering with ICE doing their job. They're going out there attacking them. If those kids had mobbed a couple ICE agents who are loaded with guns, well, what do they do in that situation when you got 20 high school kids beating on you? What do? You can't open. You just got to cover your gun and just take a beating at that point. And then the school is encouraging it.
Yeah, it's irresponsible for any school to let their kids out to go and protest on an event that maybe they don't even believe in.
Yeah.
Why is it the school's job to decide, what these kids have to think? You need to go out and protest. We're going to let you all go so you can protest, assuming that they all want to protest. When for a lot of kids, it's just an opportunity to, act out.
Well, that's the thing, too. They'll stop people and say, do you support this? And if you don't adamantly support it, that's a beating. That's a beating right there on the spot. But folks, on that note, we got to take a break. This is a Censorship Sucks Roundtable radio show. We'll be right back after this.
All right, we're on radio break.
Dadgummit, man. I get pissed off thinking about it. You get me pissed off sometimes, because it's just nuts. It's nuts.
Good. I'm getting you pissed off. I'm working up a lot of people out there in the audience, too. That's what we want.
Yeah. Well, hopefully some Democrats go, yeah, I think he's kind of right, man. Maybe I need to join the MAGA.
Yeah, like, whoa. Like, the kids are out there in front of the middle school beating up on a parent? What?
And then the police stood down. What kind of police officer stands down to a bunch of teenagers that are unarmed? A coward.
There's another dude in Texas who they were throwing like water bottles or something at his car, and so he stopped, got out, and said, "What the hell are you kids doing?" And they just started beating on him. They surrounded him, punching him. Like, I mean, he was kind of in trouble there for a minute, and finally got away, got back, and was like, "What just happened there? Like, how is that even possible that these kids are that riled up and that pissed off that they're willing to just fight a random dude driving by?" With no authority for an adult, no respect for an adult.
You hear none of this stuff in the mainstream news. None of this stuff that's happening. The only thing, and I know for a fact because I have people that I know listen to just the fake news only, and they see only these controversial things like the person getting shot that was, armed and was fighting with ICE, and it's, and then the good woman, who wasn't very good, who was ramming the car and blocking and obstructing and then run over the police officer. And I mean, and then they get a skewed narrative, where the whole truth isn't even being told by the mainstream media, and they show only one angle so that it looks a particular way because they're that evil. And so they only see, and from their perspective, it's all ICE, and ICE is all bad. They don't see what's really happening. And that's the thing. That's why X is so important. But the people I know that watch the mainstream media, they don't do social media. They don't go to X. They don't go to TikTok. They don't go to Facebook. They don't go to Minds.com or YouTube.
Yep.
They just trust that fake news, and they believe it too, man. They believe every word coming out of it. They go, well, I saw it on the news. They say, I know it's true. I saw the video. And I said, well, you do know that they cut things up to make people sound like they said something that they didn't say. Trump's already had 2 lawsuits for that very thing and won, and he could probably sue a dozen more times if he wanted to.
Yeah.
Not know how easy it is to cherry pick and to formulate a picture by cutting things a certain way or saying things a certain way or using the lie of omission. I mean, it's so easy to deceive people. You really only need about a paragraph.
Mm-hmm. And you can tell them the truth in the 16th paragraph, but no one will ever get to it.
Yeah, sometimes they do that. I noticed that with articles. They'll give this whole story about something, and at the very last line, they'll tell the truth that basically debunks everything they said. I've seen that 1,000 times over, dude.
Oh, yeah. It's journalism 101, man.
You're 100% correct, man, because they know that most people don't finish reading the whole thing.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I mean, I guarantee they teach that in journalism 101 in college. Journalism 101.
Yeah. Or at least in yellow journalism 101.
Yeah.
Here's your countdown. 5, 4.
3 more minutes, man.
3, 2, 1. And you are back live and on the radio side right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Hour 2 of the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show. February 11, 2026. With us on the mic, we've got Bullhorn Barry. Barry, where can people find you online?
Look me up on X, Bullhorn Barry. You'll find me there. Please subscribe and comment and interact.
And like.
Remind, all that stuff.
Don't you like it? You do like Barry, right? We all like Barry.
Sure. I hope so. I'm sure there's a lot that don't.
So let's dive back into another clip here. This is from Representative Gene Wu. If I'm not mistaken, he's from Texas. And the key takeaway here is non-whites share the same oppressor, and we are the same majority now. We can take over this country. Okay, so let's hear the full clip here. Sorry.
I always tell people the day the Latino, African American, Asian, and other communities realize that they share the same oppressor is the day we start winning. Because we are the majority in this country now. We have the ability to take over this country and to do what is needed for everyone and to make things fair. But the problem is our communities are divided. They're completely divided. And I talk about this.
He's, Gene Wu. I think he's Chinese ancestry. The problem he's got that he doesn't even realize is that he's on the wrong team. All those oppressed communities see him as Whitey, Mr. Whitey. That's why you don't get into Harvard. You can't go to Harvard. We got to reserve those spots for the minority communities he speaks of. See how that works, Barry? On the oppression Olympics, he's just nowhere near the top of the slide level,
There's a lot of, I've seen a lot of instances where schools will push aside Asian people for different other minorities. I mean, I think that's kind of a real Asian people for different.
Yeah, Trump is suing Harvard over that stuff. It's blatant discrimination, and it should be done on merit. So I mean, he's acting like he's part of this hierarchy of oppression when he's considered, like at the other end of it. He's might as well be white, dude. You're Asian, you guys are the ones taking up all the Harvard spots. So get out of the way and let the people of color. He didn't even mention the gays. He never once even mentioned the queers or the L's or the B's or the T's. He never even mentioned them.
What about the furries, man?
Yeah, the furries. My lord. That's a whole nother 0.0001% of the population that, you add them all up and suddenly you got a majority. But
there needs to be like money funded to every school for cat litter. I mean, the bathroom's got to have cat litter. Come on.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. You got to have kitty litters.
Have tampons in the boys' restrooms.
Absolutely. And sex toys. I don't know why there shouldn't be sex toys in elementary schools.
Are they doing that too?
Yeah, sure.
That's a new one to me.
Well, why not? Why not? You can put two kids in a little tent in the back of the room and see how they, see if they can figure out how to use it right.
I mean, it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, it would be shocking, but it wouldn't surprise me if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, you shocked me with an article just like that a few weeks ago, and it didn't surprise me. It just shocked me.
Exactly. Because you just never know what they're going to do. I mean, they're turning everything upside down, and dividing. I mean, they're literally coming after Americans. All of a sudden, with the left, America is the enemy. It's not some foreign entity, like, I don't know, the Chinese regime or the Russia regime or North Korea regime. I'm not talking about the people of those countries, but the regimes themselves. They're not the enemy. It's the American people. They're all the enemy. Over half of America is our enemy.
Mm-hmm. Now, I was just looking at an article earlier today talking about how in California, you can basically sign up to register to vote from anywhere on the planet. And you can check boxes that say, I don't have an ID. I just, hereby swear that I am a U.S. California resident, right? And you can give an address. And some of these addresses have, dozens and dozens of people, if not more, many more in some cases, registered there. So what happens, they get all these ballots. They know they're overseas. They don't exist. They're phantoms. But I've got 250 ballots at my house, Barry. You've got another 500. Yotivation's got another 500. You follow me? Suddenly, we've just got in a small group of a dozen or so people enough votes to potentially flip a presidential election in one state. And on it goes. And so we're trying to put together something called the SAVE Act, SAVE, the SAVE Act, which will save our elections. It's really just out there to give people a recommendation, a requirement that you have to show up with identification to vote. Got to be something issued from the state or whatever that has your name and off you go. You can vote. But nearly every country in the planet has this. It's common sense. It's supported by 70% of Democrats and like 90% of Republicans. And yet we're about to watch, Barry, we're about to watch the government get shut down over this thing. Over that and, whatever's going on with ICE, that they just want to neuter ICE. They want to get rid of ICE. So you talked about the war on for America and how they're at war with America. There's a couple examples right there. Democracy, the ability to vote, one man, one vote. They're at war with that basic principle of verifying identification for people who vote in our most important sacred elections. They're fighting tooth and nail against the Supreme Court. They want to add, 12 more seats or something to it, make it 20 seats, some crazy number, so they can stack it. They're at war with ICE. They're at war with cops. They don't say that out loud anymore because it backfired really hard on them, but they want to end cops. They want to end ICE. They want to rein in ICE and completely get rid of it. Immigration customs enforcement. If the federal government isn't here to enforce the border, what is it here to do? Right? I mean, we can just hire a bunch of banks to issue currency. If we don't have any national defense, then we don't have a country. If we can't control who comes in here, we don't have a country. And the popularity of 80-20 is what the Democrats are willing to die on. 80-20 issues left and right, where they're on the 20% and 80% of America's on the other side. And so it's clear to them that their voters, the American people, will not support this garbage, which is why they need to import people who will. Same thing for England, same thing for France, same thing for Europe. They know that the people there won't ultimately support what they're trying to do, so they're going to import people who will support what they do.
Yeah.
Give them money, give them time, and they're going to be loyal voters.
Well, I mean, think about it. The Democrats are literally going against the will of the people in their party. And everybody should ask themselves, why is that happening so often? Because aren't the Democrats electing these people? Well, are they? Or are the elections more about selecting someone rather than electing someone, if that makes sense? And we can elaborate on that, but I think most people get what I'm saying. And so why is that? Why is the Democrat Party even going against the strong majority of its own party? And I've said why many times, and I'll say it again, it's because the globalists control the Democrat Party, and it's the Democrat Party that is pushing the globalist agenda, the green scam, all of the censorship, all of the other stuff that the WEF pushes. That's all part of the Democrat Party. But I don't think most regular Democrats like that. But they need to wake up and realize their party's been hijacked by a bunch of globalist power elite, and they no longer have a voice in the Democrat Party. Like I said, they're never going to get a real Democrat candidate because they'll never allow it to happen.
Yeah, it's communism full bore from here on out. I hate to say it, but it's socialism, communism. If you don't have those in your title, you're not going anywhere from here on forward. Look at Mamdani, it's crazy. In Portugal, they just elected a socialist. They had a choice between, the MAGA guy over there, or a full-blown socialist, open socialist, and the socialist won. And in Japan, on the other hand, their Make Japan Great Again candidate won in a landslide, both houses, in a landslide. The supermajority, 63% in both houses. So Japan is way looking good on the right track. And man, Barry, we're going to see how this works out in such contrast over time. To see a Portugal and a Spain start going down the toilet while Japan explodes in wealth and does phenomenally well, while Argentina does phenomenal and Brazil falls down into the toilet bowl of history. It's just the way it goes, man. Socialism doesn't work, bro.
And the socialist, communist, globalist, because that's all three combined into one, agenda is all about you having less of everything that's important, like prosperity, your freedom to move about, your freedom to speak your mind, your freedom to prosper. They want to bring everyone down. Just look at the green scam and zero emissions. These are impossible things to achieve. You would have no life whatsoever if we had zero emissions. About 2 billion of us would be dead if that was the case.
Yeah. Well, that was never real. I mean, no serious person ever, said we have to have zero emissions anytime soon. It's
Except
only
for the
Yeah, the crazies out there. I mean, the whack-a-mole college students who just don't know anything other than what their liberal professors have taught them.
I mean, that's a talking point of the globalist, socialist, Marxist Democrats. That's a talking point of all the globalists at Davos and the WEF. I mean, they had it at the WEF. It was a giant, animated GIF on their website where it said, we can do it. We can do no, you can't do zero emissions. It's an impossibility on a carbon-based planet. It's like we were talking about earlier. I mean, we don't need to stop cows from farting. We don't need to, to reduce the carbon to zero. That would be damaging to the planet. And it would be catastrophic in the population as well.
Yeah. I mean, and look at China, look at India. These countries are never going to turn around in any kind of a reasonable amount of time compared to what they're demanding from the West. I mean, Belgium, maybe. Okay, Belgium can go zero emission, but guess what? They're going to build a nuclear power plant and a giant coal-powered plant in France right over the border so they can actually keep the lights on. But the country itself will be zero emission, yeah. Because it doesn't produce power anymore. It just imports it. Thank you. We solved it. That's kind of the way you look at it. You know what I mean? Like, we can turn it off over here, but China's just going to turn it on harder and harder and harder. They build several coal-powered plants every month, and they will keep doing that for the foreseeable future. It's not going away. And
get that clean coal as Trump talks about it, and I love that, man. And he was just talking about it just recently, and our spokesperson, the press spokesperson, she was talking about it and saying how, we're going to be opening up all kinds of coal plants and burning that clean coal because that's going to bring energy prices down.
Yeah, and they're smart. I mean, it's true. I hate to say it, it's true. It's a dirty way to it's not the best, but it works. And they need something that works because they've got to lift 1 billion people.
The only thing that comes out of clean coal is CO2. And there's nothing wrong with CO2. CO2 is not a toxin. It's what you accept. It's what plants need. This whole idea that CO2 is damaging is ridiculous, man. Or methane, cows farting. It's just nutsville, dude. Nobody in their right mind believes this stuff. Go look at Bill Gates when he talks about it. He looks like an insane person. His hands are flailing all over the place. He's talking about cows farting and zero emissions. I mean, and this is the same guy that supposedly, according to the Epstein drop, was having sex with Russian girls and got some STD and then wanted to secretly give the antibiotics to his wife without her knowing about it. That's how sinister this guy is, man. Doesn't he have respect for his own wife, man? These people are numb. We were talking about that in between, the show, and we were talking about how these people, they're callous, they feel nothing. Jeffrey Epstein feels nothing. Absolutely nothing for humanity or people. He cares about himself, but that's about it. His money, his wealth, his prestige.
Yeah, did you see that interview with Melinda Gates a little while back, maybe 6 days ago? It was pretty interesting. She was just like, I'm just happy I'm completely out of that relationship now, thank God. Like, get me out, I'm gone, it's done. They were asking her specifically about that story. And she was like, yeah, that's exactly why I left him, and see you later.
It's so sinister, dude. I mean, so sneaky. I mean, if he'd do that to his wife, what would he do to the rest of us?
Right? That's a very good question. Sneak, all kinds of stuff into the
sinister
water supply. Why not? The water supply. Everyone's got to drink water, right? Let's go. We're smart, man.
I mean, it's amazing that people still give him a platform, which tells you that this is about an agenda, a weird agenda of sorts, because in any real reality, this guy would have already been banned from speaking in places. They would never give him a platform after all the unscrupulous stuff he's done, all the crazy stuff he did during the shamdemic. And he's not an expert about vaccines. He's not a doctor. He's not a scientist. And yet they still keep propping him up as some kind of an expert and somebody that we should be listening to. That tells you that something is way off in the power structure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. But I don't know. Let's get back to the ICE story. They want to take down ICE, right? So one of the things that the leaders, Schumer and clan have been screaming about is they want cameras on all ICE agents. Okay, so boom, Trump and Kristi Noem said no problem. Effective immediately, she put out a tweet. Just spoke with Real-Time Homan, ICE director, CBP commissioner. Effective immediately, we are deploying body cameras to every officer in the field in Minneapolis. As funding is available, the body camera program will be expanded nationwide. We will rapidly acquire and deploy body cams. Sounds good, right? That's a win for the left.
It's a win for everybody. It's just another step of transparency that Trump continues to do. The most transparent president we've had.
Well, not so fast. A couple days later, people on the left, Senator Ed Markey, came out, and obviously we want them to be wearing body cameras, but we wouldn't want restrictions placed on what the information could be used for. So what they're worried now is that people are going to see how much of a lunatic these protesters are, and the lengths that they're going through and harassment that these guys are getting, and how patient these agents are. In the light of some of this harassment, I mean, they're saints.
Oh yeah,
and it's going to backfire on them.
Mm-hmm. 100% it's going to backfire on them. I mean, that's why the transparent. If you're on the right side of things, you want transparency. If you're on the wrong side of things, you don't want full transparency.
Funny how that works.
And let's not forget, it was Trump did this drop. It's Trump that signed off on the Epstein drop, folks. Don't forget that.
Mm-hmm. And, remember, it was like the good Renee Good, her shooting. When we first got the very small bit of information, it's like, wow, this sounds bad. But then we start seeing all the different angles and everything that happened, and it's like, oh, okay, well, this was kind of a justified shooting from the looks of it, right? The pretty guy who got shot as well. Okay, that looked pretty bad even in the first video, but then you saw the earlier one from a week earlier where he kicks out the taillight of the car and, screaming at him and just harassing him, and he's got a gun on him while he's doing all this stuff, and you think, wow, this guy was basically suicidal. This is a pattern. If you're going to go in and fight cops every day with a gun on you, you know what's going to happen eventually. It's not going to take long. You're going to die.
And his parents warned him. His parents warned him, do not get involved and obstruct.
Mm-hmm. So we get these cameras out there. I don't think it's only going to make everyone realize what's really happening out there and why people are dying, why these so-called innocent mothers just dropping their kids off, are getting shot. It's not what they describe it as at all. And you see the full body cam, and people are going to go, wow, okay, that person was a nut job. That person was there to fight cops. And, oh, well, ICE aren't cops. Yeah, they are. They're federal agents. And, they're as much of a cop as if some FBI agent shows up on your door and tries to put you in handcuffs, See how that goes if you fight that guy.
Of course. But you do have some people on the left, even in positions of authority, that have tried to literally say that ICE is not legitimate law enforcement. So they're sending that message out to a bunch of people that are already wound up and on the verge of violence anyway, and you're just giving them fuel for their fire. It's completely reckless and irresponsible. And these people that are officials or in positions of power that say these kind of lunatic things, they know good and well that they are law enforcement.
Yeah, they do. And they're just provoking people to go do stupid things so they can become martyrs. It's like, everyone out there, every war and every battle that's ever been fought, if you can find some martyr to go out and die for the cause and motivate people, then, that's worth it's worth a lot. It's strategically on a battlefield, it's worth sacrificing the martyr to gain the loyalty and, the dedication that you get from the people afterwards, It's just mathematics, right? You're playing a video game and all your troops gain +2 power, whatever. If you just sacrifice one soldier, you're gonna say, oh well, that's a great buff, let's do that. I'll sacrifice 3 right now, boom, then we'll go win this. Mathematically, not emotionally, not with a human skull or with a brain or a heart.
Yeah Well, they must know how bad they're losing, because to be so desperate as to say such blatant lies, knowing that it's going to possibly incite people to violence, is really a sign of not just recklessness but desperation. And the Democrats are in a desperate phase, man, because look, man, we're going to be having arrest indictments and convictions very soon. You can mark my words, man. I've been making all kinds of forecasts on this radio show, and a big percentage of them have come to pass. And I'm telling you now, my analysis says we're getting arrest indictments and convictions. There's no way around it at this point. There is no way around it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's wild, isn't it, man? It's wild. We need to see it too. I really, I want to see it. Everyone does.
Well, it may be with the election fraud first. Who knows what's coming first? Like we've talked about on this show so many times, man. There are so many crimes that have been committed and in a systemic way in all these Democrat areas. Every kind of possible fraud that you can imagine, from election fraud to daycare fraud to different agencies having fraud. These I mean, it's just nonstop. It's maddening. It's maddening how much corruption is out there. It's insane. There's no way they could prosecute everybody. It would take decades. There's that much corruption, man, and it's been going on for a long, long time.
And, all those nice houses, man, a lot of it is just that corruption, and they're dependent on it. And they're in a system where everyone else is dependent on it. And so no one wants to pull the plug because everybody loses their nice homes and their nice lives and their nice cars. And so what do you do every day? Everybody just goes in, pretends nothing's wrong, and then they go home and enjoy their life. Well, why not? It's not your money. It's the people's money. It's the worst kind of money. It's other people's money. It's random strangers putting in, a certain percentage of their income. That whatever. No one cares about that money. There's no, when you pull a $10 bill out of your pocket, you care because it's your money. When you pull a $10 bill out of, your friend's pocket, whatever, it's a $10 bill. It says, he's got plenty. When you pull a $10 bill out of the sky from some random person, well, boom, who cares about that one? You have no trace whatsoever on that. So let's take a look at, I talked about the UAE last week, now declining to spend any money for education of their citizens in the United Kingdom because it's too radicalized with, the hardcore Muslim Islamists, right? So the UAE it's too radicalized to send any of their citizens to school in England anymore. Okay, they go there, they come back radicalized with Islamic radical ideologies, and they become dangerous to society, so they don't do it anymore. The same is true with the War Department. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth put out a tweet. File this under long overdue. The Department of War is formally ending all professional military education fellowships and certificates programs with Harvard University. Harvard is woke. The War Department is not. That's big news, dude. The government will no longer send any of its, officers, whatnot, that could qualify to go to Harvard there on scholarships at all anymore. None. They don't want to pay for it. They don't want anything to do with them. They come back, as he says, woke and globalists with radical ideologies that do not improve the fighting ranks. So that's a good thing, Barry. We got a couple minutes left. What say you?
Yeah, I was just going to say that Carolyn Levitt was talking about today, all the different victories that Trump is having with the economy, with rent prices being lower, food prices beginning to lower, gas prices lowering. I mean, all this kind of good stuff that's happening. Everything is starting now. Yeah, crime's gone down dramatically in certain places. At least where they're not where they try to Trump-proof areas, that's where the crime stays high. But if, they go along with the agenda, of course, things are getting cleaned up. Things are happening.
Yeah.
But, we're looking good for 2026 if he keeps it up in 2026. If he just keeps his feet to the pedal and keeps, making progress. And then we got to have some indictments in 2026. Maybe not all of them, but we need some really important ones. And I'm just going to be happy if we get enough significant indictments of the right people, of the most powerful people that are the most guilty. And we can then send a message that this is not going to happen anymore.
anymore, folks. Never anymore. But that's it. We're out of time. We've got to end it here. But stay tuned for more from Dragus Productions right after these breaks. This is the Censorship Sucks Roundtable Radio Show, and we will see you on Wednesday night.
All right. Great show, guys.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Thanks for producing, Mark.
Oh, always a pleasure. Let me go ahead and get Jack up and running, and I will catch up with you guys later on. All right?
All right, cool. Thanks.
All right.
See you.
I figured out we were running out of time, so
All right. That was Censorship Sucks. Coming up is, that's right, Paranormal Intelligence Agency Radio.